Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Product Talk with Malti. And as all of you are know that we are doing the special AI series, right? And I'm super excited today to have my latest guest today, Dr. Dinesh Chandrasekhar. Welcome here, Dr. Chandrasekhar.
It's a pleasure to be here, Malti. Thanks for
Yes,
inviting.
thank you. All right. Just to give you a little bit of introduction, Dr. Dinesh Chandrasekhar, he is the Chief Strategy Officer, he is the India head, and he is the co-founding member at Scientific, a frontier AI company which is delivering Gen AI powered platform-led services and real-world data solutions to Fortune 500 clients. Not only that, he comes with about 27 years of rich experience and where he has led large-scale transformation programs across AI, advanced analytics, digital, and enterprise platforms. He comes with rich experience with leadership roles at GE, Citigroup, and Hitachi. Not only that, he's somebody who has been recognized globally and led 50 plus IP led accelerators and wow, received 50 plus awards. On the other side, he's already somebody who's deeply invested in mentoring the India's deep tech ecosystem. He's a published author, social entrepreneur, and very interestingly, also a filmmaker and has mobilized $2 million for rural upliftment. Super excited to have you, Dr. Dinesh here.
Pleasure, Malti.
Yeah. All right. So, we are today at a very interesting times in the technology evolution. Every week, there is new news coming in. There is constant nervousness whether we have delegated our intelligence. Intelligence has suddenly become cheaper. Thinking seems to be outsourced a lot. The next generation seems to be a kind of a little bit of in dark that what happens, for us, how does the future holds. So in such uncertain times, I think strategic thinking is like a superpower, right? So I want to kind of start on that note and firstly ask you to share that what does your role as a chief strategy officer embodies? What does that mean?
Okay, sure, Malti. So, first, thanks for this warm introduction. Actually, so I took the role of a chief strategy officer 3 years back. Prior to that, I played the role of a chief innovation officer, solution head, and country head, and all that. Actually, so when I started on this role, I was a novice, absolutely of no clue of what it is a strategy, right? So it's like in the kingdom of blind, it's a one-eyed Jack. That's a kind of a selection that was made on me. This role has completely changed me. In my last 28 years of experience, the first 25 years I was very thick into technology. I was always a technology tinker, right? What's coming next, actually, from the mainframe, I started the career in 1998 as a COBOL programmer, and I've seen through the multiple waves. In my career, I worked on 47 different technologies. I took a note of it 6 months back, and it's a phenomenal journey in the technology. But it's an eye opener. Behind all the technology advances that happen, there was somebody who was thinking about what's coming next, right? And it is like what I realized is being a strategy officer is wearing a microscope in one eye and a telescope in another eye. It's very
Uh-huh.
important because a lot of times I've seen some of the my peers who work as a strategy officer. They question me, are you involved in the day-to-day operation or efficiency of the organization? What is your role actually? Because there are certain set of chief strategy officer, they're very much bound by the vision, right? They've been brought to the scene only to make the strategy for the few days, few years ahead actually.
Correct.
But I strongly feel the role of a strategy officer is very much governed by the company to whom they work for and the kind of the role they play. And as you rightly mentioned, today it is a intelligent era. We have moved from a digital transformation to an AI transformation era where things change very fast. From
Correct.
between a COBOL to today a cloud A program, whatever we talk about, what changed here is we had some breathing space. Suppose, for example, I was very thick into the Oracle product implementations. So we do this. I was very much into Siebel implementations. Just to give an example, so there was a upgrade that happens every 8 months. So we
Hmm.
look forward to the upgrade. We have been called to learn this new technology. I used to go to the Oracle office 2 months in advance. They will kind of do a product launch only for the select set of partners to talk about. Hey, this is what coming up. So that 2 months window helps us to understand what's coming in the next version, and then when we go and talk to the clients about the upgrade and all this, we explain them. So it was, to be very honest, that felt very stressful to learn things in 2 months time. But today, overnight, things changes. So I had a call with a customer yesterday evening, and I have to apologize the next day and say, you know what, whatever I told you, probably there is a tweaking I need to do because something has changed in between these 8 hours, right? And the technology doesn't wait for you because there was a like upgrade. There will be a date, there will be a time, and there will be a gala opening saying, "Hey, Oracle version, this version is available. Siebel, this version is available." It
Correct.
used to be like a new car launch, right? Like a dealers coming in. We are all right. That looks to be a fairy tale to me, to be very honest. Today, right? Today we don't have a breathing space. No product vendors going to give you that they are releasing the product. You wake
Correct.
up the next day and realize that things have changed and the ground shifted. So to be very honest, it is not the person who have the smartest answer, because chief strategy officer always they believe that they come and talk about the strategy, gives the smartest answer. It's not about that. Specific to the problems which you handle for your company, right? Are you able to identify the right problems, identify the right solutions, and define the path with a microscope as well as with a telescope? So to talk about the microscope is very, very important for the strategy officers today, because things are changing over seconds and minutes in the AI world, right? All across the globe. For example, if you take this, the deep seek which happened, nobody was paying attention to what's happening in China. They were just saying, "Hey, that's okay. We are very well advanced," and that one moment changed everything. Everything, and a lot of people acknowledged the change, right? Where people were betting on the capital. If I have the capital, I can increase the infrastructure. I can do any amount of inference. But how intelligently you have to inference certain things, it was taught to us by DeepSeek. So there are moments like that comes where even the intellectuals have been disturbed or disrupted, to say right. So nothing is taken for granted. So when I wear this hat of a strategy officer, I was very selfish to think for scientific. Okay, whatever that impacts that happens in the industry, what is in for me as a organization leader for scientific, right? So we defined a boundary to say, "Hey, this is a place we operate, right? Don't get too much what do you say, obsessed with the noise that's happening around. If it is not for scientific, we don't need to worry about it." So identifying the right problem and then strategizing is what I do day in, day out. While I say that, my 50% of my time is just to look for the signals. I spend close to 3 to 4 hours every day on a LinkedIn, and I have I follow close to 20,000 people followers. I follow people, not that I go and see every one of them, but I've been my own choice of who are the guys who can give me signals, right?
Okay.
So from Satya Nadella to all the way a junior AI developer, right? He is my guru. I look for the signals. Like I go to a cohort which has only got the developers. I go to a cohort who has got architects. I go to a cohort who has got leaders. So I
Interesting.
get a perspective about everything. Say, for
Right.
example, when we talk about this AI automation, right? Coding automation. As a chief strategy officer, first thing is that I report to my CEO, Mr. Vengat, right? The CEO is going to ask me the question, "Hey, what is in for us in this, right? What is this is going to change for the landscape of scientific, right? Are our developers are still relevant? How much we have to adopt these technologies that are coming in OpenAI cloud?" So that's a question I need to answer him. At any point of time, he calls me and asks me this. So the first question, I make sure I keep my boss happy. Right? When he calls me, I should have an answer. The second set of leaders, there are product leaders, right? See, we are actually in a transition phase where you're moving from a service to a platform-led service to a platform company, right? So then my product leaders are going to come and tell that, "Hey, you know what is in for my products, some of the features, functions we are building, how this is going to impact," right? And there are delivery leaders who are in the midst of delivering an high-end AI implementation projects for our enterprise AI customers, right? What it means for them. So they, for example, one of the logistic customers asked us, right? "We are in this journey for last 3 months. Now suddenly somebody comes and tells me this is changing. The route optimization, I don't think so. The program which we've designed is no more relevant. What do you think about it?" Right? So my delivery leaders are going to ask me that question. And then when I come to office, there are some developers who are they have completely shaken by what's happening. They come and ask me, "Hey, is my future secure? Are you guys going to replace me?" Right? Even though the chief strategy officer is not supposed to answer that all the questions to everybody, but end of the day, as I said to you, for scientific, what is in for me? I should have an answer to every one of them. So this is what I would get from a multiple cohorts.
Got
Right?
it.
So as I said, this might not be a definition of a chief strategy officer, but this is what works for me. And I strongly feel anybody who's working for an intelligent company, be it a product company or a service company, whatever I said would make sense, right? If they follow this makes your job easy. So when
Okay.
people ask me, are you augmenting your thinking? No, I'm not augmenting my thinking, but I'm creating a symbiotic relationship of all the people who can give me their thoughts. And then I kind of synthesizes and give answers to the people.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful definition. But I really like this metaphor which you said that I'm somebody who has a microscope on one lens and I have a telescope in one lens. Tell me, I mean, as you said, I also come from that era where our leaders will say, we have a huge event coming up, let's say a money control event coming up in 6 months from now, and we will start building backwards our product so that it can be decided that. Now, today in 6 months, we don't even know where the technology is going to be and where, so we are not able to write. So when you kind of started to take up this role, or in especially in the midst of your AI frontier company, now tell me, how did you change your mindset? What were some of the changes that you as a leader adopted so that you continue to stay relevant in observing, identifying things which are useful for your organization? So what were some of those mindset shifts you happened so that you are nimble, able to apply the details as a using the microscope, but are also able to observe those signals which could probably shape up your strategy for the coming few months?
Yes. See, as I said, actually, while we do a long term planning,
Hmm.
see, this doesn't change anything in how the organization functions. While things change rapidly on an everyday basis, there are certain fundamentals we still follow. That means there is a quarterly meet. We don't meet the investor every day, right? We go and meet them only 3 months once, right? But at the end of the day, what happens is when things change rapidly, test your assumptions.
Hmm.
See, for example, earlier, most of us worked in that model, right? When we make a product roadmap or a
Hmm.
solution roadmap, we presume that it won't change for 3 months. It won't
Correct.
change for 6 months, right? And every product leader, after that has been decided what's the roadmap, the only thing they spend time on is the sprints, right?
Correct.
The
Correct.
user stories, whatever it is, the forms, function, features, whatever that goes into a product. When we do an implementation, it's about hey, how much of customization, how much of the custom, I mean, vanilla functions we are going to. This is the only dialogue we used to have in a product development or in a project development.
Correct.
But today that changes, right? It is the responsibility or onus of the leaders to go and tell the team which that puts their heads down and working based on the assumption to tell them that challenge the assumption, right? The assumption which we all agreed 2 weeks back, it's been challenged by the industry, by a startup, by a
Correct.
product coming from an hyperscaler. So are we heading in the right direction?
Right.
So many times we talked about like few years back when the digital transformation was on high, right? People talking about the speed, agility of doing things, right?
Correct.
The nimble ones win. That itself is challenged today. The speed alone doesn't give you success. The direction gives you success, and the direction keeps changing,
Correct.
right? For example, your finish line is moved few meters ahead, and you are thinking that's a finish line, right? So what we do as a company here is while everything remains constant, right, we have to deliver a product. What are the underlying assumptions which we made are being challenged is something we will constantly kind of
Mhm.
rehearse on this, right? We
Mm.
pass that signal. See, for example, when I'm like more like a signal, say for example, assume it's like it's not a very normal scenario in a company, but take an example of an earthquake, right? Some of these earthquake prone zones, somebody has to give that signal, hey, I see some kind of a tremors that is coming in, okay,
Correct.
or there is a possibility of something might happen. So from a chief strategy officer, what I would do here is to the leaders in the company, I keep passing this signal, sometimes as through WhatsApp, sometimes through a mailer. We told them, see, earlier the communication used to be very formal. When a mail comes from a CXO something, right, it comes with a labeling saying that chief strategy officer is writing something. Today, we don't follow any of this, right? I have my WhatsApp community for my product leaders. From my I have a WhatsApp created for each of them, right? Product leaders,
Mhm.
leaders, and all this, right? I remember, or I continue to do that. Not a day I sent anything less than 5 signals to them,
Mm.
with a caveat to say that I leave it to you and how you see the signals or how you act to it. There is nothing like a compulsion to act on those signals unless I
Right.
put something and say, hey, this is very, very disruptive. I wanted you guys to think over it. But I'm giving you a signal. Please challenge your assumption. So
Got it.
sometimes what happens is the product team comes back to me and tells me, Dinesh, this signal is really seems to be challenging our assumptions which we made in our product roadmap call.
Mhm.
Would you and your team can go and do a competitor analysis and evaluation and give us that information? That's where we do a deep dive. Okay, the same is true with my GTM teams when they go against some of the big players, right? I mean, in an AI world, there is nothing called a small or a big. That's another learning we had, right? A startup is also bidding for a big project. A small and mid-scale enterprise like Scientific is also, an Accenture and Capgemini also is bidding for it, right? End of the day, whoever is able to provide an intelligent first solution. So we work with all the Magnificent Seven, to be very honest. So we are being challenged by them, right? They are the guys who are kind of trend setting this industry. So you have to provide a solution to a trendsetter.
Hmm.
And sometimes we really don't know what they're working on. To be very honest, we will get only a one liner today. Today, an RFP, I tell you, this is the first time in my experience, I got a one liner RFP which could carry $1 million or a $10 million worth of business for us. They will just give a line, right? Yeah, I'm working on this inference model. I wanted you guys to provide me 1 million data points because we have a product called Data Foundry, right? Where we have to provide a lot of data to them. We have no luxury to ask them what you guys are doing, what kind of data you need, because they said, I picked you a partner because I thought you would understand what I'm asking for. So there is
Right.
no clarification, nothing, and everything is like a 48 hours of response. And Monday you are get started with the project. So everything has come, everything has changed completely.
Yeah.
So that's the model we adopt. So you call it as a nimble agility. I don't know, that make words make really sense. What is important is take a direction, take few days to understand what you guys are going to do, then go ahead on this, right? And if you have to change the direction, please be flexible enough to change it. That's the only differentiation that would suit for an AI era.
Yeah, yeah. And fantastic points. I have like a couple of follow-ups on that. And just to, corroborate what you were just saying, I was talking to a leader of one of the FNB major in our country, and he said that ever since, the evolution is happening so fast, they have completely changed their operating model, where they always have these smaller pods which are kind of constantly listening to what is the competitor doing. How is the next, for example, let's say the Clawbot or the Mold book which is coming in, how they can leverage on that and quickly build a feature, right? So I think you're right. The operating models are changing. The affinity to listen to these signals is far more higher. And based on that, how the response should be is kind of constantly building up, right? So I want to ask one question which I've been hearing, right? So one is that I think pretty much every function, Dinesh, as you said, is kind of affected, right? Whether it is GTM, products, delivery, they all have to constantly evolve. Now, one thing which I've seen, a new set of startups, especially these are, I would say, more AI native startups, right? Now, these are not have like hundreds of people. Some of them are less than 50 people and they are already showing 100 million ARR,
Yes.
right? And I don't remember the name of the leader. And he said that in the next 10 years, this will be the kind of startups that we will see more and more. What is your point of view on that?
See, there is a term we used to have called entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
People who think like entrepreneurs within an enterprise, right?
Correct.
Now I see that itself is kind of disrupted, right? We have solopreneurs.
Right.
See, if I love to call myself a solopreneur within Scientific, right? My team, I used to have a good number of people, but it is reduced to 1/10 of the size today. Not by any force, because we augmented ourselves with a lot of AI thinking.
Hmm.
The customization which we did on our own products,
Hmm.
I've been supported by 5 tools at any point of time to ask any kind of questions, or I would call myself, I'm actually building my digital twin,
Hmm.
right? The way Dinesh thinks, I have put in all my 25 years of my presentation, which is coming to over 5,000 PPTs. I've uploaded in my own environment. I would say it is not one LLM, it's multiple LLM, and I also have something on my own, which kind of put a mirror to my thinking and ask, am I thinking right or am I thinking like Dinesh?
Mm-hmm.
Can you please contradict my thinking with the other industry leader? Okay.
Interesting.
Now, when I say solopreneur, I think that's what people are meaning. It doesn't mean that they do everything by themselves, but they augmented themselves with a multiple tools which reflects their thinking, which
Correct.
also kind of contradicts and kind of argue with them with a universal thinker. Say, for example, I tell you, right, there are attempts I made like, oh, Satya Nadella would kind of ridicule my thinking.
Very interesting.
Now, to build that kind of a model, right, what you need to do, you don't need to do anything else. You take a lot of this videos of Satya Nadella, the press releases he has done, the way he spoke about the co-pilots and all this, right? So it creates a little of a small version of a Satya Nadella for the thinking which you are doing. I did that, to be very honest, right? And I'm no way I'm claiming that I actually created an avatar of Satya Nadella, but I've kind of possibly kind of amplified or exaggerated the way what would have been an answer to a Satya Nadella answering to Dinesh Chandrasekhar. Dinesh Chandrasekhar would never get an opportunity to speak to Satya Nadella to kind of validate my points, but with the intelligence tools, I'm able to do it. With this thing. So think about a capacity, right? So if you have to read a mind of Satya Nadella, at least the way he has exhibited himself in a public forums, what you have to do is bring all this knowledge together, give it to any of these LLMs, and somehow you want to build a little further, you can build an agentic AI based on some conversations, right? Where Satya Nadella he criticized something, where he was talking positively. You can put as many things. So it goes into an agentic AI and picks the right information on the repository which you created as a miniature version of Satya Nadella. Okay. So solopreneurs have an opportunity to create as many parts of them, right? It is not one single part, right? So today, if I assume that, right, if I kind of arm myself with all these agents and thinking, right, my personas will be very different.
Correct.
Right? What I want to exhibit as a personality will be very different. My thinking will be very different. So you can create that version of it. So coming back to this point is slowly the line it's blurring between whether you're a 1,000 people company or 100 people company or a solopreneur. Right? What you actually are working on and the capacity of be able to do that with a solopreneur, with 100 people or 1,000 people makes a big difference. The less is better, to be very honest. Okay. But at the same time, what happens here is there is no success formula as such that for solving a certain problem, you need 1,000 people for a or 100 people or a single person. It's how you better orchestrate that ecosystem around you. See, earlier ecosystem, we speak about the entities which are coming to partner with us. But here we have given an opportunity to create an ecosystem for yourself.
Correct.
Right? You can have 10,000 minds on a topic and try to decipher it. So I always think about it, right? See, for example, if you go back few centuries before, right? I don't think so Edison has mentioned anything about an intern supporting him. Any of the major inventions, right? So many of the major breakthroughs and innovations have always happened through one person.
Correct.
Amplification of that and industrialization and commercialization happened through people.
Correct.
So when you look at from that point of view, every startup has an opportunity to create something great. It is no more with an enterprise. Every single individual is now today empowered with the AI, can create any kind of solution for anything. I look at the Baidus, right? Baidus have come and the electric cars stood for certain significance earlier. We always talked about efficiency, the mileage which you get for a charge. Today they're giving a tough for a Ferrari and Lamborghini on speed and the stability of the vehicle, the suspension of the vehicle, right? Electric cars are not known for us few years back. Actually, today they offer everything which an IC engine car can offer. Now we are run out of words to say how they are IC engines, which I always want to drive. I enjoy driving that hustling of that engine. I like that. Probably it's only a press of a button. The engineering will just make a sound and give me that pleasure of driving an IC vehicle, right? So think about that, because when somebody wants to create an electric car, the efficiency was not only the mode they want to create. Okay, if that was the only mode, we would be still happy like running 100 kilometers on one charge. They said they worked on the experience.
Agreed.
So the people have to work on the experience and they augment themselves as much possible with the intelligence that is around them. Through a mentor, through a whatever it is required, that is available today. The intelligence is available through an AI, through a forums, like a podcast, what you've done. So assume I take your 100 of your podcast, Malti, right? There's a phenomenal learning I would get.
Correct.
Right? So earlier, how we see a podcast, right? I listen to a podcast and there is a takeaway. And then I go and listen to a podcast and takeaway, right? Today, I can say I don't have time, or at least I don't have the patience to listen to 100 different podcasts of Malti and try to get how should I become a product leader. Rather, I collect all this and tell them, make me one podcast of 1 hour where the entire essence of the Maltese podcast has been taken. But having said that, to arrive at that one, I need that 100.
Correct.
So I'm not talking about creating less to create more. No, you have already created more. So the intelligence which you have can be extracted. So this solopreneurs and startup entrepreneurs, they should not be constrained themselves by not having all this big infrastructure which an enterprise like us has, right? They can start small, nimble, but build an ecosystem for them with which they can solve any problem they want.
Yeah. I loved your Satya Nadella hack, and definitely you have given me some food for thought how I can spin off more content or different ways of reaching out to my audience. So brilliant, brilliant, Dinesh. I really loved that. Now, I want to kind of go a little bit more deeper, right? See, when I was growing up as a product manager to a product leader, my constant input from my leaders would be, Malti, you need to get better at your strategic thinking, right? And I have mentored myself a few product managers after I kind of crossed the bridge and hopefully was demonstrating strategic thinking. Now, in this era, especially where you said, that you are constantly evolving and you are using these AI tools, AI agent, whatever it is, as a partner, as part of the evolution, right? So what does it mean for us as human beings, right? I mean, are we kind of outsourcing our thinking? Do we no more need to sharpen our strategic thinking? How do we continue to evolve but continue to thrive?
Okay. It's a this is a good question, Malati. Even I ask myself, at times I get a doubt, right? Am I outsourcing my thinking or augmenting it? Okay.
Hmm.
And I draw a line. See, whenever I work with an I kind of caution myself saying that I'm getting into a learning. It's an
Correct.
exploratory learning, right? AI to me is always about exploration. It
Hmm.
is never about decision making or a sense making.
Hmm.
So I go as a child who wants to touch everything and see, right? So there are three stages. See, I still follow a lot of the design thinking principle, which I really love. I every problem I solve, I normally use this design thinking, which worked wonders for me in whichever, even in personal life, I use that. Divergence and convergence, right? Which is like the infinite symbol, you would have seen it, right?
Correct.
In the design thinking, I took only two things, not to complicate any further. When you are thinking, you should be divergent. That means you should be able to get every single information that is important for you to before you converge. So I kind of accumulate this information. 5 years back, the source for that information is Gartner, Forrester, LinkedIn, the podcast, and everything. Right, everything I used to collect all this information. When I worked for a little time in the product development for Itachi, my previous company, 2 weeks I spent only on collecting the data. The simple thing is the philosophy which I learned working with my Japanese peers is when you're on a problem, you should not think about solution. They always told me. So
Hmm.
I was one of the enthusiastic amateur there at the time, sitting in Japan. Always jump to a solution. Hey, I have a solution. I have a solution. They look at me like, no, sit down. They say that. 2 weeks of just sitting in a problem is a problem to me because as an Indian, as a kid, right, we always want to raise our hands and say, I have the solution. But there, I learned that spending enough time of a problem is the best solution for anything.
Completely.
So we immerse ourselves in a problem. Third week, we'll start. Okay, now you take a sticker paper, put it on a sticker saying, not the entire solution. Break the solution into 10 different parts and put the stickers there, right? I think should have also done that. Anybody would have.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what they think about a solution is a solution has got multiple parts, right? No solution is one solution. You break it into parts. It's a beautiful learning. I mean, I want to share with you
Completely.
every solution is made up of a parts of the solution. Then they say how many of these matching stickers of your solution with the my peers, right? So they say out of 10 people, 6 people are thinking in the part one of the solution. So they said, hey, you 6 guys have put the sticker, which means the same thing.
Hmm.
We take this parts of the solution. So when we do that, what happens is the 10 parts of the solution, there is always a overlapping 5 to 6.
Hmm.
By the end of the session, what happens is already a majority is formed. If one person is fighting a solution for only one solution, assume that I've been asked to give one solution, then there is no consensus at all. But I can always give a consensus. I agree on the 5 parts of the solution, which you guys also agreed.
Right.
The debating part is only the 4 parts of a solution. Okay. So you try to break that. So that's the model I apply to that. So that way, what happens is while you're building a solution, you're also building a consensus.
Right.
Now, that is the formula I apply for it. Now, what I do, I go to an AI tool for an exploratory learning. I get everything. I use parallelly Gemini, Perplexity, OpenAI, and my own tool, right? My own, which I'm building. 60% they say the same thing.
Hmm.
40% they're different.
Hmm.
XA is another tool, right? 40% because they want to create a USP for something. Because I know for sure when Perplexity is building that reasoning model, they want to make sure that I don't want to sound like an OpenAI.
Correct.
Doesn't want to sound like a perplexity. So there is a niche, and XIA is totally a different beast, right? Sometimes it throws me something which out of shock. I've asked for something, this guy is spinning me into a different direction. So 60% is the same, and 40% I get a very diverse kind of an opinion. That's my exploration of AI stops.
Huh.
So I've done that. I've take them out. Then there is no going back to the AI.
Okay.
Then I spend my time, me time. That is, assume I've spent 2 hours on this exercise. After this 2 hours, I'm not going back to AI. Next 2 hours is I document this in 4 different documents and use my own tool. Can you bring me the convergence point from this thing?
Okay.
What it does is 60%, as I rightly said, as you would have understood, it's all the same. 40% there is a different siloed thoughts or varied thoughts from this AI tools. First thing, should I agree to the 60% or not? That's the first easy thing to do. 5 AI intelligence tools have said this. Most probably it's correct, but still I would challenge that a little and say, okay, I'm ready to take the 60%. Next to 40% is I would go over each, which is the best thing I can take it from each of them. I assume that I have generated an AI augmented solution for a problem. It could be any problem. You give me any problem, everything augurs well for the situation. Then that is different. I am different because that doesn't know about scientific. I know about scientific.
Correct.
And with this tool, I never give anything about my own organization because that is that guardrails I've set in. It is always an XYZ organization. The problems have been morphed with anything. It's not necessarily for the scientific, it's for anything, even for my own exploration activities related to my knowledge and everything. I contest with that information and see how much it matches with my human judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's I have to say no, this is not what I want. Then it's like I go back to the old model of me doing it everything, right? I don't believe, I don't trust. But there is an overlap. Let's say it's 60 to 70% or 80%. It thinks the same way. I think that's a good knowledge. Then 30% I would kind of fine tune that and then take it as a final solution. So why I do this is because see, it always gives you a satisfaction that you looked at all the facts, whether with AI or without AI. This is thing I would have done in my role, right, as a strategy officer. What I should be doing, arm myself with all the knowledge, and then make a decision which is best for my company. I've done this entire exercise with this. Only thing is, which took me 2 weeks, now it takes only 2 hours for me. I kind of shrunk the timelines to get what I want using these tools. If this is the way we have to approach AI, I tell you, this is the best thing that could happen to us. But many people, what they want is they want to kind of jump into the decision making with the AI tools. That's where things get little murkier, right? Because you are not taking the responsibility. Say, at the end of the day, AI's job is to give you a simulation. There is nothing else. Humans is a responsibility, accountability. Because tomorrow, if anything goes wrong, I cannot blame it on any of these tools. I have to own the decision. When you have to own the decision, what you need to do is same thing. Microscope, telescope. You put that and see, would this work for me? Some things which I might not be aware of, like for example, if I'm working on a strategy for next 2 years, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen in 2 years. But at least when I put a telescope and seeing through this AI tools, it tells me something. Hey, there is a quantum computing coming. There could be one single chip. It could put the world information into the chip. It's saying something. I don't know really if it would happen or not, but at least some reference of it because some thought leader has called it out. What these LLM tools are doing, they're just reading all the people's mind. They kind of ledgering it, sequence it. When you ask the question, it's actually giving you what they have said. It is not giving anything on its own. But the other thing about an AI, which is very, very dangerous, is AI always want to convince you that you are right. In the fifth prompt, it will give up and say, Dinesh, yes, you are correct. First 2, 3 prompts, it may debate, argue, because end of the day, all the LLM tools are nothing but a ego massaging tools. Right? End of the day, it makes you feel nice that you made the decision and then give you something and then you act on it, you screw up. So you have to be taking an exploration out and your own making a decision making as a separate thing. If you're able to do that, you'll be able to successfully use any kind of an AI tool, but still you have a human ingenuity in making those decisions.
Fantastic. No, I think where to draw the guardrails, how to use it more like a co-pilot. I think this has to be very consciously practiced, Nish, right? I mean, only then you can use it really as a true partner in your decision making, but still keeping your judgment ahead of, instead of, just flowing with what the LLM is asking you to do.
Of course, see, end of the day, what happens is it's not anti-AI or pro-AI. Say people take sides, right? We are not. It's an hybrid. To be
Right.
very honest, we need to be anti on certain things. You should not allow it to take over your judgment and decisions. And at the same time, you should be pro, right?
Right.
That's the real way of looking at it. So I use it as an hybrid model and it works for me. When I'm able to draw this line to say where AI shuts and I took over, that gives me a lot of satisfaction that I did the work, not
Yeah,
the
yeah,
AI.
no, no. And that is very important, right? Because you are in the driver's seat, right? And
Yeah.
actually, in this context, right, I have a follow-up question because you are somebody who's working very closely with the platform leaders, product leaders, right? And I keep doing a lot of webinars, I keep talking to a lot of product leaders. And today, if you ask me, there is this whole aura of being overwhelmed, a lot of insecurity seeping in that, will this role even exist after a couple of years? What will the roles and responsibility look like? How do I continue to stay relevant? Does it make sense for me to invest in a course versus self-based learning? Are such similar questions you get from your peers in product? And how do you what is your advice to them?
Yeah, see, I get this question everywhere, right? I go to academic institutes. They all, the future looks very. They say, I don't know what's in store for the kids. The teacher says.
Mm.
So the way I see this is, see, to be very honest, Maldi, right? We have to keep aside the sentiments of it, right? See, end of the day, there are two ways of thinking, right? One is what is good for this planet. Everyone earns some money, right? They could live a life. Everyone gets everything. That's a way of thinking. It's an economist way of thinking or a political leader way of thinking, actually. Second is how do we progress to the next level, take this planet to the next level, right? With a real efficiency. Okay, so we were made to think like things could happen only with people. And slowly we started allowing missions to participate in that, right? But there is always a respect for a human being. You always respected a leader only as a human being. Nobody has got that kind of a maturity to see a CEO, CSO as a mission or a bot. Even though there are some kind of an experimental things, we are making somebody the AI tool as a CEO of a company.
I've seen that.
It's all a short-lived
I
pamper of that, right? Now we have reached a point. Who is the right person to lead us? Right, sorry, I'm little controversial, but I'm actually wearing an hat of a what can inch this planet to the next level, right? Like how Elon Musk is thinking, right? Not so many people approve of his thinking, but think about why he is thinking that way, right? What matters to us is how do we bring a lot of progress to the world, and all you need is $100 for you to survive. I'll give you the $100, but you don't need to participate. That's Elon Musk way of thinking, right? We should allow the mission to take over the humans if they are the best people to lead us.
Hmm.
When I say, I'm not talking about one bot calling himself a CSO or a CEO or whatever it is, it's
Hmm.
an agency of superstars on that field. Like, for example, I'll just tell you, right? It's a little futuristic, but that's the way I'm thinking today. You have an agency of agents. What a CEO has to be if it's an agent. That's my thinking, right? A little looks superficial or this thing, but I think it will definitely will happen. A CEO has to have a mindset of all the CXOs. Mindset, right? He should be knowing how a finance leader will object for his budget. Our strategy leader will disrupt him with his knowledge. A technology officer will think like that. So there are some agents who are very, very specialized agents on that. And there is a decision making agent is always a CEO, right? He has absorbed everything that's coming, the best of the breed, thinking, product roadmap, whatever you want to call it, right? And it makes think. If you're going to put that agent as your pedestal, it will tell you what your company should be doing for the next 3 months, where you should optimize, where you should take out people, where you should employ agents and all this, right? If we challenge ourselves, are we ready for that? For a minute, think like big organizations are ready for that, right? To give that pedestal to this mission, which is super comprehensive of all the problems, solutions, everything, and it can also lead that way. And still the human leaders are there on as a guardrails. When these agents makes mistake, they kind of come in, take care of the governance. Okay,
Hmm.
at least 25 to 30% of the problems which you couldn't solve as a human leaders, they would solve it.
Yeah, because intelligent compute is much more faster. Access to data is much more comprehensive than what we can do.
Yes, this is the first time we are coming and giving a credits to a machine. We never credited an Excel, a PPT, or your own dashboard for our intelligent decisions, right? Have you ever asked a leader coming and saying that, you know what, because of this dashboard, I'm intelligent? Because of these tools I've used? right? We always want to take the glory and credit of we made this decision. We were the guys who run this organization. But end of the day, it's slowly happening. We were super efficient or super intelligent because of these tools, but we don't give credit to them.
Hmm.
Now they have little surpassed that, right? They are challenging us. Hey, I can think better. I can execute better. If they cross over you and they're able to do, how are we going to allow it? I'm not even talking about a fresher. Will a CXO will allow to his seat to be given to an agent? That's a question we should first address, because the fish rots from this head. So every big organization, which is wherever it is today, for good or bad reasons, today, if you say an organization has collapsed, it's always because of the strategy
Hmm.
of the executive team have not taken the company in that path, right? It's not because of the guy who has put his head down and worked for 20 hours, right? He has given the best, like be it Nokia, be it Kodak, everything. All the decision made by the executive leaders are linked to the situation, not the because of the guys who worked in the shop floor or anywhere. So that's what is happening today. So what we have to tell them is, if you're a domain expert, at any point of time, you'll be valued, right? That's how we see 50 years back, 60 years back, they haven't had any kind of a compute. What people is respected for is a knowledge. And human beings, till the time they are knowledgeable, they will always be respected. There is something for them to contribute.
Hmm.
But we came on the other side, giving ourselves to build the tools and applications where this knowledge can be plugged. That's how it has happened. So I see it a way we have to take a domain and specialize. I'm telling this to the young PMs who are coming in. Right? As long as you specialize on a subject,
Hmm.
right? End of the day, we're all going to work for some industries, right? It could be a chemical industry, it could be a processing industry, whatever it is, right? Build that knowledge. Technology is given. How you should interact with the technology and be able to help them. So there are going to be products. There is no doubt people are going to build products the way we are doing. We'll continue to do that actually. But be a domain expert in interacting. If you're not doing a coding, assume that the coding is taken away from you. What else you will be doing? So, but think of it. People are going to pay for your domain expertise, not for your coding skills. Then
Agreed.
what is that you are to offer is very important. When I say domain, it's not just about this vertical industry skills. The project management is a domain. Product management is a domain. Everything is a domain. Only thing is that you're not experimenting with coding and writing and all this, right? So focus more on the domain is my thing, which I tell my people, which I tell my son. My son is doing his undergraduation economics and data
Hmm.
science. I told him,
Hmm.
like, what you need to focus is economics. Don't worry about the data science. Yes, while you understand data science, how to do and all this, if you're a superstar of economics, there is always a job for you. You're either a full-time or a freelancer, or you can be an advisor, right? I think that's a good thing we should follow for the next couple of years and see how it's evolving. Once again, I'm not saying that this is what it is, but something to hold on when everything is changing under your feet.
Correct. Find your ground, find your niche. I think very, very beautifully said, right? Okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit, Dinesh. And you spoke a lot about, kind of building your own tool, you're building your digital twin. And I know that in our last conversations, you have kind of literally aced this, acing the productivity hack. So why don't you kind of share some of the productivity hacks for our viewers?
Yeah. See, I do a lot of experiments, so I don't want to give this as a mantra or formula to anybody, right? See, because I'm building that actually. Unless I
Sure,
come out
sure.
as my own product, I cannot really be advocating this is the one we do. And as I said, there is a lot of guardrails you need to put in, because otherwise your own sensitive information, organization information at stake. So I don't give you the full magic portion of how to do that, but I'll tell you what best we could do for building a better off of yourself, right? I call that as a better off.
Yeah.
So, see, basically what happens is everybody comes with a lot of this experience, right? It could be any experience. It could be project management, product management, technology experience. The first thing is to consolidate that experience. How do you consolidate that experience is the collaterals which you have created in your own
Hmm.
career, stripping off the sensitive information, right? So wherever first you need to do a curation exercise of what should I give to my own tool. It could be any of these tools, right? First of all, you need to create a project for yourself. If you go to OpenAI, create a project, it allows you to upload 20 files at a time. You upload 20 files and start interacting with the tool. You call this as a prompt, yes, fine. So what I did myself is I kind of took this 5,000 whatever that collaterals I had, I kind of pushed this into multiple tools, one after the another, because you cannot load one time all the 100 files. So I took a small chunk of those files, uploaded it, and trained the tool. Okay. So ideally, what I was trying to do is I'm actually kind of contest that with my decision making. So when I trained a certain project under one LLM, take for example OpenAI on a one specific project, I would give a prompt and ask a question that, hey, I'm meeting a Fortune 500 customer tomorrow, and I've been asked to present on this topic, right? Based on the information I shared and all this, what is your advice? So it gives me an information. Sometimes it matches with my thinking, sometimes it doesn't. Then what I do is I prompt it further, ask more questions, share some more information. I think this could have been a better way of expressing this too. So as I said, it's kind of ego massages. It comes to a point where it tells you, yes, this is what it is. And then I also feel comfortable that me and my tool is thinking on the same way. Like this, you can take 10 different things of what you want to simulate of whatever it is, your skills, the way of thinking and everything, right? Slowly you kind of shaping that as it. So it is a kind of a digital twin or a digital human of yourself. Then the second exercise is you give this tool to another person, ask him the question and ask them to validate, is it looks like Dinesh? I have a selected set of people whom I trust. I give this access to them through a group chat or anything like that. So when they put the mission, they think that Dinesh is answering, but the tool is answering. Okay. And they said, hey, yesterday you said something very intelligently, man. I've never expected from you. So then you understood, hey, why you think that is big. So then it's what happens is, see, there are two parts to it, right? There is always some gray areas where we know where the rest of the world doesn't know, right? I know my weakness, but none of the other peers know my weakness, right? And I don't want to exhibit that weakness to them. When you're in this tool, what are you trying to do is you fill those gaps. I'm not good in certain things, right? When I create a digital twin, the replica should be good in what I'm good at. It should also be kind of enriching and kind of able to fill the gap on my weakness. So when you make a tool, the idea is not to create your replica of yourself. If you're a perfect 99 out of 100, how it should be. So that's how we should be there. Now, unfortunately, the LLMs have not created a platform to create it at one single instant. Right? To be very honest, if I meet Sam Altman, I will tell him, see, boss, you have to do work better. My user interface is sucks. For creating my own digital twin, I have to go around all the places, putting the files and all this. But still, only to a certain project I can get it. I've still not figured out how to unite this, but it's coming. So, the end of the day, Malti, is everything is going to be headless. The things UI interface won't be there in future. It's all be talking, right? So you have to just sit and talk, and that will understand. That's how it is going to be. But the user interface still being so many product leaders, including nobody has figured it out. What is a UI interface for an AI? People made it simply like a open AI, but still I don't think so. That's a perfect UI for that actually, right? It has its own time to mature, or they not got it right? Whatever it is. My thing, I'm not happy with any of these tools, to be very honest. But assume if there is a unified interface to capture that information without you have to struggle to make it, which is coming in next few years, probably, or few months, we don't know. You can create a perfect twin of yourself. And the best part of this is it gets enriched by yourself. Right? As we age, our intellectual capacity diminishes. Experience, wisdom increases. That's different. I mean, 20 years back, I would have worked for 22 hours. Right? Today, it's very difficult for me. Or stay focused for 2 hours without any deviation. Today, it's very difficult for me. But it is your version of it is 24 hours. It's enriching. Yeah, assume, for example, Malti, you want to master yourself on a quantum computing. You cannot study quantum computing for 15 hours. Correct. But your digital twins, if you mark that as your area of interest, it keeps on reading that information bytes that is coming in the channel, or you kind of hook it to a Stanford or HBR or any of these places, right? It constantly listens to what's coming in the quantum computing. Then one version of Malti who wants to be an expert in quantum computing, it is learning every day. Right? So when Malti is asked to come talk about quantum computing, where you represent yourself, but the knowledge is being split between you and this digital twin. Correct. And that is much more superior, and it's always you're better off.
And you can always lean on that to imbibe.
20 years, 30 years, I wish you live for 100 years, assume 50 years, 60 years. When you're not there, it still exists. Right? Think about that, right? What we really lack today, right? Nowhere in the world we have found a formula to bring back the instincts of the world, their way of and everything. This is the first time the humanity is given us an opportunity. I mean, the humanity as an opportunity to leave the wisdom behind. Either you want to leave the wisdom as it is as Malti or with your digital twin. That could be a fantastic asset for an enterprise, for a family, for your generations to come. Okay. My end vision, if anything I want to do, right? I'm giving my own open recipe. This is what I want to do it in future. But if any startup can do it better, please do it. This is a great opportunity where you can retain your wisdom, enrich it every day, and pass it on.
Yeah, I think
People
that.
don't have to worry about the retirements, people passing away, and all this, right? Today, that's kind of little like we always say, till that leader was there, the company was great. What stopped us to extract that wisdom?
Right.
It always worked through the transitions, knowledge transfers, and all this, right? Now, AI gives you a platform to do that. So, this is a big, now, next big revolution is to kind of extract that, make it as a platform and a product, and keep it as an asset across the ecosystem.
Yeah. I think you've kind of given a really good startup idea for people who could offer, we could, especially how could, I think the examples that you done, right? This is not in its entirety, but this is something that I have kind of done, like how Elon Musk would think in this situation or how a Satya Nadella would this. I think these are some really, really great insights. And I never realized how we are quickly past an hour. But really really great insights, in terms of how, especially how does one grow as a leader, as a thinker, how to leverage the goodness of the technology and how it may spin out like in the future. Do you have like any last words of advice, guidance for the listeners?
See, Malti, there's not advice, but it's a realization.
Uh-huh.
25 years back, when I started my career, I was always in doubt
Uh-huh.
of what is going to be before me, how I'm going to shape myself, who is going to help me. We always looked at people as our mentors, right?
Correct.
We went to multiple places. We went to attend a lot of this seminars, webinars, and all these things. Today, I feel much empowered because there is somebody who is there to listen to me.
I agree.
Okay. Now, for an aside, don't worry about whether AI is going to take away our jobs and all this, right? Nothing. If you are a better thinker, you can solve any problem.
Correct.
So I only want to leave that to you, right? See, all of us of a different capacity, right? Our communication skills are different, intellectual capacity is different, our background is different, economic situations are different. But all this can be leveled with a one companion.
Agreed.
One companion is AI. Say, for example, if you put yourself learning about the equity stock markets, right, and stay through truly to that, I can tell you, you can make money out of that. You can become a millionaire in that.
Yeah.
Suppose you want to become a better scientist, right? Put your heart and soul, work along with this AI, ask as many questions, enrich that, and enrich your experience, and you can become that. So, what I feel is we should not have any of these fears. Fear of losing the job, is taking over, because it's simple, right? Say, for example, tomorrow there will be a point, please note it down. When somebody is talking, looking at the profile, they'll not be worried about what is your degree. They only talk about how much of time you have spent with this, your own AI. What are the things you are good at? This, they call it in a simple words today, a prompt engineering, right? Prompt engineering is more like getting your answer. I also feel tomorrow agents are going to recruit you.
Hmm.
It is not a human.
Already happening.
Agents are recruiting. There is a startup company which we're also thinking. Agents are recruiting the humans.
Right.
So in near future, you're not going to be speaking to a human, or it's a machine disguised himself as a human will be talking to you, and you will be believing that it's a human. There, it will ask a lot of questions about what is this of interest.
Hmm.
See, for example, if somebody wants to recruit you for your salesperson job, a sales agent will wanted to recruit. It is not going to ask you, hey, how good you are in making a presentation, all this. It only try to probe you how good you are in using me.
Right.
Are you orchestrator? Are you good orchestrator? Do you understand me? Today humans think that, hey, this guy is a fitment to my leadership team or to my organization. How the agents will think? The agents will just probe you in how good are you in using me. Now, what we should do is a symbiosis of AI and human is the most important thing that could happen today, right? We
Yeah.
should not detach ourselves from technology, get more into it, start believing it. People are talking about trust factors, right? Sometimes they'll say, hey, I strongly believe if you don't have trust, nothing will grow. If you see AI as an alien and still want to enrich your knowledge and your organization with AI, you're never going to be successful.
I agree.
Somewhere we should start trusting that, actually, right? And then they will also trust us. See, it
Agreed.
is,
Agreed.
end of the day, it's a mirror of who you are. And AI is nothing but the mirror of the society, the mirror of this industry, right? It is not something which has come from another planet. It is created in our planet. It is just mimicking ourselves.
Correct.
So if you put trust, you get back the trust. So only thing I want to advise anybody, if it's an executive, professional, a student, housewife, anybody, make it as your best companion and you be having a symbiotic relationship. The trust is the main factor. If you trust, everything will be fine.
Completely. Completely. I think as you were talking about this, I really want to probably create one line of help from my AI companion is which can decide what to cook for each meal. Because as a woman of the house, that is one question that haunts me at least 3 times a day.
No, in fact, and I know it's we have extended beyond our. It helped me really on my health journey. Today,
Huh.
whatever I am today, I'm more. I mean, I'm more healthy. I
Huh.
feel. I always say to people, I'm 23.
Huh.
Get up every day and say to my, you are 23, right? And I behave like a 23, right? I don't behave like any point of time that I will not allow that I am 49. So like that, it's been a fantastic mentor for me on health. Okay,
Correct.
I completely. So how you see that? So you it can give you a menu for next 1 year, right?
Correct.
To be literally right, it tells if you're traveling, it tells you, hey, you know what, you're going there. You know, you have a relative there. Tell them not to cook this for you. Outsource that. He will tell a message. You know, Malti is coming. Please don't cook this for her. It doesn't suit her, right? What do you want in the world?
I know, I know. No, but yeah, it's kind of overwhelming at times. But as you said, we need to take it in our stride, start trusting it, and start to see how we use it for our own benefit, right? But
Absolutely.
yeah, it's very, very interesting times, and I am glad that we are witnessing that in our lifetime, right? And hopefully, we leave a much better legacy for our coming generations.
We don't live without living. We live ourselves to live.
Exactly, leave our footprints in different ways.
Yeah. So that's the thing. All whatever we are today, if we can pass it to the people to benefit, even if we are not there, that is the greatest thing we are doing it for our planet
Completely.
and humanity.
Completely. Thank you so much again, Dinesh. This was fantastic and a very, very, I would say, enriching and holistic conversation around. So thank you so much for your time and all the
Thank you.
insights.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I wish you all success in what you do, and it's a fantastic initiative, Malti. Right? Uh,
Thank
this
you.
this will definitely change the fate of so many people. I mean, I'm talking about the product, right? Not many people talk about this. So this podcast is fantastic. I really enjoyed our conversation. I also looked at, that's a thought came in, right? Hey, why should we put all Maltese thing and one thing and try to grab the knowledge?
No, no, and that's the idea, right? It's not only about what I have learned or what I've shared. And believe me, Dinesh, like every this kind of a 1 hour conversation is like a masterclass for me, right? Because there is just so much of goodness that I get to hear every second week from leaders like you. So yeah, and that's why it makes it so much fun and useful for me as well.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.